Okay, today we're gonna do the second of the Sorley MacLean poems, which is gonna be the Girl of the Red Gold Hair. And this is following along with the initial poem that we looked at, which is about the theme of sort of the poet's love or the speaker's love for a woman. Essentially looking at his extremely intense love for some woman who he's been inspired by to write the poem for, basically. Okay, so again, it's similar to the other poem we looked at. I gave you immortality. Although in this one, it's talking about a different woman, because in that one she had blonde hair, in this one she's got red gold hair. So Mr. McLean was a bit of a man about town. Or again, in both cases, maybe he's just what do you call it? He's just using the speaker as a way of talking about he's just playing character basically. I'm not sure. All right, anyway, so he begins by saying, Girl of the red gold hair, girl of the red gold hair, far from you, O love, my pursuit. So again, he's taking the role of the speaker being sort of very intensely in love with a woman and being so in love with her that he's inspired to write poetry about her. It's very classic kind of, what would you say? It's a very, very classic idea or very classic um, situation, if you like. It's a very classic motif, that might be another word for it, where you have a poet or speaker in a poem essentially laying out how he's been inspired by a woman. Sometimes it could be a goddess, if you look at the old ancient poetry, to create some art about her. Okay, so that's what this is. He goes on to say, Girl of the red gold hair, he says it twice, far from you, oh my sorrow. Okay, so you got repetition of two different things in here. One is girl of the red gold hair. So the red hair, obviously, he's talking about a girl that's Scottish and she has naturally red hair. She's uh, what would you call it, ginger or something. She's got red hair. Um, the fact that he combines the red with the gold lays out again, the illusion or the idea, the what do you call it, reference to the woman, and this is like in the other poem as well, the woman being something special and extremely valuable and magical, if you like. Gold being obviously precious metal. So taking gold and combining it with her hair makes it that even her hair is extremely like special in a way, valuable, like a treasure in itself, like that. Far from you, O love, my pursuit. So what he's laying out also, which is similar to the other poem. In the other poem, the speaker has his heart broken, and the woman is far away from him because of that. In this poem, we're not sure if he's had his heart broken yet, but what we do know is that the woman he is in love with is not near him, and he doesn't have her in his life in terms of he's not with her or she's not with him, which is why he calls her his pursuit. Excuse me. Pursuit is the meaning of pursuit is the thing that you are chasing after. That's pursuit. And generally speaking, when you're talking about a pursuit, usually you're talking about it's like a hunting metaphor, and the pursuit would normally be something to do with like going out on a horse and then chasing after like a specific type of animal. And if you want to talk about this sort of uh in terms of like tradition or fairy tales or that kind of thing, the pursuit was often done in terms of like pursuit of like a special kind of deer or stag, meaning like it's a magical creature that you are pursuing, you're trying to chase. You could also tie this to, like not fairy tales, but like myths, like the Arthur myth or those kind of myths where the hero goes out in pursuit of some kind of quest, like a grail or something like that. In any case, what he's laying out is that the woman has become the object of him, of his life in terms of he's chasing after her. That would be like literally. And then in terms of metaphorically, pursuit also you can use even in today's time. You could say this is my pursuit. You can use it to mean the thing that is your goal, your activity, your objective, as in the thing that you spend your time doing that you're trying to achieve. So the woman has completely taken over his life and his mind and his soul, and she is completely the thing that he is trying to achieve, trying to get, and his whole life is revolved around her. Excuse me. Physically and spiritually and in every way, he is just completely focused on her, and she is the thing that takes up all of his mind and all of his time. That's pursuit. Okay, far from you, my sorrow. Now again, this is similar to the other poem that we looked at in that he is saying that she is the object of his complete desire, attention, focus, everything. But then he's calling her his sorrow, his source, or his, not even his source of sadness, but she is his sadness itself, which is again sort of, maybe this is a technique that Mr. MacLean, uses in his poetry, which is this idea of contrast, taking something which is like negative and then, or positive, like being pursuing something, and then describing it in a negative way, so you have like a contrast. Okay. And essentially this would lay out the idea that, well, there's two readings of it. One is that she is the cause of his sadness because because he's chasing her, chasing her, chasing her, and the fact that he can't get her is making him extremely depressed. That's one. Two is that she herself causes his sadness, but even despite that, he can't stop chasing her yet. So she's like toxic for him. She's like she's like she breaks his heart, but he can't stop trying to chase her yet. Basically, he's like madly in love with her, and he can't stop trying to focus on her and be with her. Um, even though she's causes him immense pain, yeah, like what we saw in the other poem. Okay, tonight on the sound of Rassi, that's the water that you can see there. My hand is on the helm. Helm is a reference to like sailing or being on a boat or a ship. The wind tugs energetically at the sail. My heart is dumb, aching for your music today and tomorrow, indifferent to my expectation. Okay, uh, in MacLean's poetry, he often uses references, allusions to different parts of Scotland and to nature, um, which is why he's obviously held in high regard in terms of like the Scottish poets. So he's using this place, which is like a remote place with water, and he's placing himself here to illustrate his emotions, like how he feels. Um, if I'm not wrong, the place he's describing is there's many islands here, or it's like an island, something to do with being an island, yeah, if I'm not wrong. Which would illustrate his idea of being sort of feeling extremely lonely, like he's by himself. It's also it's like it's not, this place is not near, it's not in a city yet. This is like out of the way in the country. So in itself, it's like sort of the ideas of being isolated or feeling alone, feeling lonely without her. And then number two, the water itself. Like I said, this is Scotland, obviously. The water itself is extremely cold, and water is a good metaphor for emotions, especially sadness, because um, water has a very deep. Water is deep, and the deeper you go, the more dark it becomes. Basically, if you think about like the ocean or you think about the sea, you think about water, you dive down, you can see, you can see, you can see, and then you eventually you can't see anything, right? It gets very dark and then it gets pitch black. So he is lonely, isolated, and extremely sad, yeah, extremely depressed. And the more maybe you would talk to him and get to listen to him, or the more he himself thinks about the way he feels, his feelings, the more sadness you could discover about him. Yeah, his sadness essentially is like it doesn't end, it just gets worse. Yeah, essentially every layer you go down, it gets worse and more dark. The wind tugs energetically at the sail. My heart is dumb, making for your music. So if you imagine he's on the boat, And the wind tugs energetically at the sail. My heart is done making for your music. Um, what the wind is here, I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. It tugs energetically at the sail. You could just imagine there's a lot of motion. There's things happening around him. He's on the ship, and there's movement. Maybe he's like moving through life. But despite all of this motion, he doesn't feel anything. He's at that level of depression and sadness where you lose like sensation, you lose emotion. Everything feels the same to you. You feel it's a level of sadness in which you know you're depressed because it's not like sad like you want to cry. It's sad like you're numb. Yeah, it's like this happens, after heartbreak or after serious loss. It can also happen like in this situation where you maybe have one-sided love, or you maybe have something that you deeply want or need, and it seems there's no way for you to get it. In any case, he's in extreme sadness. Yeah, he's in deep, deep sadness and depression. And the other effect of this is he says, today and tomorrow indifferent to my expectation. Today and tomorrow indifferent to my expectation. Today and tomorrow don't care about what it is that I'm expecting or that I really, really hope will happen yet. So he's saying that basically, and there's different ways of reading this again. One is that he's completely numb, and that today and tomorrow they don't mean anything to him. And the other way to read it would be that today and tomorrow he's personifying them. He's personifying time itself, and he's saying that time and like the world doesn't care about how he feels or how what he wants. It's not listening to him. It's not concerned with him. And I guess this would just make him feel even worse. Yeah, it's like he really wants something. He's extremely depressed, but the world around him doesn't seem to, care. Even time itself doesn't sort of care about him. Um, Maybe like the woman doesn't care about him. Maybe. Okay, gray is the mist. Gray also a traditional color associated with sadness and depression is the mist that creeps over Duncan, which is that mountain there, or that hill. Fretful, the coarse moor grass and bog cotton. A wind from the west touches the surface of the sea. My hopes are gone. Gloom overshadows me. So again, laying out his sort of negative emotion, his how sad he is, and using the land around him to symbolize that. Um, Again, a wind from the west touches the surface of the sea. Again, I'm not exactly sure what the wind represents. I don't know. But my hopes are gone and gloom overshadows me. So again, it's quite obvious that he feels like the land itself reflects his deep depression and his deep sadness, that the world is grey when this woman is not in his life yet. That's how he feels basically. He's like Romeo in the beginning of Romeo and Juliet. A white cleft. Cleft is when you split something. A white cleft to the bottom of the wave. The wind skirls round the tip of the mast. Mast is on the ship. But let it blow, I am indifferent to a battle awakening on a bare sea. So the world around him is sort of exploding with movement and motion. The sea is being split apart, by the wind or whatever. And the boat is being moved sort of violently by the wind, shaking it. But he doesn't care yet. He's like Romeo in the beginning of Romeo and Juliet. He doesn't care. He doesn't even. He's completely indifferent to it. He's numb to it because he's so sad. Yeah, he's so depressed. That he doesn't mind being in the middle of the battle between these dangerous, violent elements of nature. He's okay with sort of dying at this point because he doesn't have this woman that he loves yet. He's like depressed. He's like majorly he's he needs a hug, yeah, basically. You don't want to be like this guy. He's going through an intense heartbreak, yeah. Brother needs a hug, yeah. Okay. All right. Girl of the red gold hair, and he goes back to the beginning. Girl of the red gold hair, far from you. This is the end of the poem. love, my aim, girl of the red gold hair, very far from you, my sorrow. Okay, now the difference between this one and the first one is the O is dropped out and he just calls her love, and then my pursuit is dropped out and changed into my aim. And then the last part, obviously, very is added. Okay, um, what's the difference calling her love versus oh love? I don't know. Um, my aim obviously means sort of the same kind of thing. Maybe you could say a slight difference between pursuit and aim. Pursuit is something that you're actively chasing, you're actively involved in trying to achieve. Aim is something that you just set as a goal, as a target, and it's not as active as pursuit. Pursuit would be like a hunt. Aim would be like a goal, I guess. It's not exactly the same level. And you could say maybe, and this would be tied in with the very, I guess. Maybe he is sort of feeling that he might not get this woman and she's out of reach, and he's just reflecting the depressed idea and the sort of dejected feeling, as in he now feels like he feels less energized as compared to the beginning, where his hand was on the helm, he's trying to sail the ship, trying to get to her. Now he's sort of completely depressed and he hopes that he could get her, he wishes for her, but he's not actively sort of trying anymore. Maybe he's run out of energy, he's run out of hope for her because she now is not just far, but she is very far, very far. Um, so again, it's another poem sort of laying out the speaker, being intensely, madly in love with some woman and becoming extremely depressed because of it. Um, if you're in this position, just move on. Yeah, talk to another girl. If you're a girl, whatever, talk to another boy. It's not that deep yet. Uh, it's not that deep. Everyone is special, but everyone is special and unique, but not. But everyone is. Let me say this. How can I say this to you? Every woman is special and unique, but there are many special, unique women that you could form a good relationship with. Same with men, yeah. If you're for girls, yeah, or whatever. Um, so every person, I'll put it this way if you make it more broad. Every person is special and unique. Yes, true. But there are many people that you could form a good relationship with. Meaning, if your girl, if there's a girl that doesn't like you, she doesn't want to be with you, like don't chase her and don't be weird writing her poetry and all that. And don't be heartbroken for someone that doesn't care about you, doesn't think about you. Same, if there's a boy that you like and he doesn't give you attention and stuff, don't be heartbroken because he doesn't pay attention to you. There's many others that would be better, right? And you could form a good relationship with. It's uh, it's not like what do you call it? There's like a limited number of people or something that you could actually form a relationship with. It's like there's many, yeah, maybe thousands, maybe millions, yeah. So don't be don't be sort of becoming depressed, yeah, basically. That's the idea.